Everyone, my name is Mark Jones. I'm a vet. I work for the Born Free Foundation. Now, some of you will know the Born Free Foundation was founded by the actors Virginia McKenna and Bill Travers, who acted in the film Born Free. And this year it's 50 years since Born Free, the film, was released. So it's a big year for our charity. Now, the film was about the rescue and rehabilitation of a lioness called Elsa in Kenya, and it's another lion anniversary this year. It's a year, more or less to the day, since Cecil the lion was killed in Zimbabwe by a wealthy American trophy hunter. I'm sure many of you will remember the media frenzy that took place after that killing and the public outrage that occurred then and is still very evident today. And what Cecil's sad and very awful death did is focus public attention on trophy hunting and the plight of lions in particular. And what it's done since is made people challenge the premise that wild animals are sometimes there for us to do whatever we want with. That it's somehow okay to shoot them for fun if we've got enough money to pay for it, and that if wild animals get in our way, it's okay just to eliminate them. Now, we're here today for the Badger Festival to celebrate these amazing and wonderful creatures. European badgers exist all over Europe, as far as the Middle East, and given the chance, badgers, unlike so many other species, seem to be a species that do quite well in our world, and living close to us, and often they hide right under our nose. Most people in this country will live within a fairly short distance of badgers, and most people will never see them. So they do really well, and I think that's something that we should really celebrate. And they do really well in spite of the fact that they're still subject to both illegal and legal persecution all over our country. And it's that legal persecution in the form of badger culls that I'd like to talk a little bit more about just now. I'm sorry about the wind on the microphone. Over the past 3 years, we've seen around 4,000 badgers culled in 3 zones in Somerset, Gloucestershire and Dorset. The overwhelming majority of those badgers will have been perfectly healthy and will have posed no risk to anyone or anything. Now this year, Natural England are considering 29 new applications for culling licences in the west and southwest of England that cover an area roughly the size of Yorkshire, and we could see tens of thousands more badgers killed over the coming years, and the populations of badgers across the west and southwest of England reduced by up to about a half. Now, this awful situation raises a whole host of questions, not only about the future of badgers in the west of England, but about the whole basis on which decision-making on wildlife interventions and wildlife management are made by government, by our veterinary profession, and how science and evidence is used or not used, as the case may be, in order to formulate policy and decision-making. Nobody doubts that bovine TB is a big problem for farmers. About 36,000 cattle were prematurely slaughtered last year as a result of positive tests for bovine TB. It disrupts farming businesses. It comes as a huge cost to the taxpayer. But it's not the fault of badgers. It's because of inadequate controls and poor industry practices over many years. And the high cost of TB to cattle and cattle farmers should not be used as an excuse to exterminate wildlife. And what we are is very, very far from the science-led policy that we were promised by the coalition government when it came to power in 2010. So I'd like to talk just briefly about my profession, the veterinary profession. It's very influential in this whole business. Individual vets give advice to farmers and actually conduct a lot of the TB testing that goes on.
Don't carry on. Yes.
Veterinary associations like the British Veterinary Association provides information and advice to vets, farmers, the public and policymakers. The government's chief vet and his team within DEFRA are responsible for putting together animal health policy and developing that policy and implementing it. And the BVA, the British Veterinary Association's current position on badger culling, targeted and managed badger culling is an option to be used in carefully selected areas where badgers are regarded as a significant contributor to the persistent presence of TB in cattle. Now, the British Veterinary Association have provided no evidence to support their claims that trapping and shooting of badgers are humane. They've provided no consideration of the welfare impacts of culling on surviving badgers, and they've provided no definition of what they mean by targeted and managed badger culling, what constitutes a carefully selected area, how and by whom the contribution of badgers to bovine TB in cattle is to be assessed, or what the threshold this contribution needs to be in order for it to be considered significant. Now that's just not good enough for the veterinary profession. So alongside like-minded colleagues, I'm doing all I can to persuade the British Veterinary Association to initiate a thorough review of its position. Is that better? Yeah. Before promoting wildlife interventions, the British Veterinary Association and vets in general should be absolutely certain of a substantial and guaranteed benefit. They should be absolutely certain there's no alternative. They should be absolutely convinced that the methods are humane, and they should make sure that there are no other negative consequences to be considered, like increased illegal persecution or impacts on non-target animals. It's my view that these badger culls fail on all of these counts. So, ladies and gentlemen, this isn't just about the 4,000 badgers that have lost their lives to date over the past 3 years. It's not even just about the tens of thousands more badgers that could be killed over the coming years. It's about the attitudes of our government, our industries, our vets and our society towards our wildlife. Wildlife all over the world is disappearing fast, and we're systematically destroying the nature on which we ultimately all depend. We cannot allow the National Farmers Union, politicians and civil servants to make decisions in darkened rooms that devastate our wildlife without being accountable to us, the wider public. We cannot allow civil society's voice to be silenced by ever-increasing legal restrictions on what we're allowed to say and how we can protest against these awful decisions. And we cannot allow public money to be wasted destroying our natural heritage for no good reason beyond satisfying the political needs of a few vested interests. So thank you for coming today to celebrate badgers and all our wonderful wildlife. Please do what you can to help out in the cull zones later this year, should culls go ahead this year, and keep writing to your local and national political leaders to remind them of just how much public opposition to this policy there is. Keep supporting your local badger groups, your local wildlife groups. Let's put a stop to this tragedy. Let me be absolutely clear. Badger culling is unscientific, it's ineffective, it's inhumane, and it's completely unnecessary. This travesty of a policy must end. We need to stop the legal and illegal persecution of badgers and start celebrating these animals and all the wonderful wildlife that calls the UK home. Thank you very much.